Getting into the top plays in NBA DFS today. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it does seem like there has just been a big edge late season NBA DFS. If you go to the Occupy Fantasy Twitter, you'll see that as well. It's been a little bit of a fun section of the season because you can kind of just gain an edge on the field really by attacking the best values out there and then just using some correct human thought processes. So let's look at this. The best values that we're getting on DraftKings today. We got Eric Gordon, Mitchell Robinson, Nick Richards, and Darius Garland. Like none of those are like really too egregiously mispriced or anything like that. Let's take a peek at all those. So like Eric Gordon, just a very interesting play. He is very much a play that's predicated on him getting hot from 3-ball range. Now with Paul George out tonight, does that mean he gets a couple more 3-ball attempts? Maybe. But in this game against OKC, I just don't see him going 1 for 5. I could actually see that being the opposite. So he does make sense as like a high upside GPP play. Now, do we have to worry about the ownership a little bit? Potentially. 18 and 22% is a decently high number there. And then Mitchell Robinson as well. Let's take a peek at him. He has been a strong point per minute player. Obviously gets a better matchup tonight against Orlando. If he sits, he is currently questionable. That will open up Isaiah Hartenstein as a decent price point play as well. But he's pulling in a lot of ownership as well, which I find kind of fascinating there. And then Richards, he has been playing just some spectacular basketball, and he really hasn't been getting a ton of minutes as well. We can see the upside's been there for him. At 5K, we could potentially begin, 40 DK points. And like he's done part of this against Cleveland. Not exactly a team you're like going out of your way to target as well. So we like to see that. Now let's flip it around and just look at the best FanDuel values that we're getting there. Eric Gordon, we also have Josh Giddey popping up there. Josh Giddey on FanDuel is going to be someone that is going to be difficult not to like. And I know the price is obviously lower on FanDuel, which it shouldn't be, but for it to be 10% projected ownership on DraftKings and then only 31 on FanDuel, that's extremely interesting to me. It does seem like we could potentially gain an edge on the field simply on DraftKings there. Then we see Kawhi popping up there as a good value play on FanDuel. Mikal Bridges is popping up there as a good FanDuel value. Marcus Morris, decent. No like egregiously mispriced plays just yet on the slate, which is I find very interesting. So let's go ahead and just sort by the OF index here, see which players are popping up. And obviously this is a small 4-game slate, okay? The best play that we have on the board is going to be Kawhi, coming in at 27% projected ownership on DraftKings, 38% projected ownership on FanDuel. Then we have SGA. I do like SGA in this game, only coming in at 16% projected ownership. That is a decent number there. Julius Randle also has that good matchup against Orlando. It's no shot that he's popping up there, but this is kind of suggesting that we might want to do a kind of more fair and balanced approach because we have someone like Garland really popping up there, Mikal Bridges popping up there. If you can go full, if we even go lower, we got Markelle Fultz there, Jonas Valanciunas, Wagner. And so it is a 4-game slate. To me, it is a little bit more simple right now. If the news changes throughout the day, just remember to be in the Discord chat before lock. Link to that's in the description below. But I think we kind of get the dynamic of the slate. Let's just go ahead and try to give you guys a kind of first like build for today. So to me, I do really like the idea of kind of chasing Valanciunas in this matchup. If he is going to get 30 plus minutes, it's tough to imagine him not going for 40 against Charlotte. Okay, it just is. And so that play is very much predicated on the minutes. And let's go ahead and look at his ownership. It's not as high as I would have thought it would be. Like 23. I thought he would be closer to like 30, 35. Just given the matchup, given the price tag, given the recent amount of minutes that he's been getting. So to me, that's a very interesting spot. I do really like the price point of all the Magic players, like Markelle Fultz. His floor has been extremely awesome lately because the minutes have been there more so for it. And now this matchup against the Knicks is not one that I fear. I think he's going to be a really good play, but then we also have Cole Anthony as well at 5.6. He also has that good matchup. And the reason I'm calling this out is because Jalen Suggs is going to be gone. And so maybe he gets a couple more minutes or just a little bit more usage. We saw him have a good game last game against Washington, and he's someone I think we can continue to kind of look at, especially at this price tag. So I think Fultz and also Cole Anthony are very good plays, but I'd rather just pay down for Cole Anthony because I think, if he's going to put up 28 and Fultz is going to put up 34, rather just, take the slight price discount. And then looking at Wagner as well. Wagner, as long as the minutes are going to continue to be there for him, I think he's going to be a play that I like. The issue with him is how much upside does he have, but I think that's why we're getting him at such a soft price tag. I think he's a great kind of lineup filler, maybe not exactly someone you're going out of your way to play, but at the same time, a good enough play. Then on the flip side of that, we did see Julius Randle really popping up as one of the stud plays that we should be paying up for. And I would agree, I would say he does have 50 DraftKings FanDuel points upside today. And so if we look at it, yes, he's very priced up on FanDuel, probably going to be tough to get to, 2% projected ownership, only 15% on DraftKings. To me, that does seem like a kind of leveraged spot there as well, especially in this matchup against Orlando. It's supposed to be a close scoring game. Very interesting there. And the best value that we could get is Hartenstein if Mitchell Robinson is ruled out. Just a cheap price tag. I'm going to go ahead and put him in there for now. We have seen him be productive anyways, in limited minutes. So either way, on a slate in which we're not getting that great of value, I still think he could hold some roster ability, if you will. And then looking at this Cleveland versus Brooklyn game, we did see Darius Garland popping up as one of the better kind of price point plays on the slate. And that's because he does have that GPP upside. He does have that ability to go for 40 DK points. Last game against Brooklyn, struggled 5 turnovers, still was able to get to 27 DK points. So not terrible. Evan Mobley could potentially be a cheap 40 DK points. Once again, he did struggle as well against Brooklyn. And then Jared Allen, also kind of a cheap, kind of safe play on today's slate. It does feel like one of those slates in which you play one of Mobley or Jared Allen and hope for the best. Obviously, in this sort of build, we'd probably be going with Mobley. Now, on the flip side of that, I still think the Brooklyn Nets players are a little bit too cheap. Nick Claxton, although he hasn't really been dominating, I think his best game recently was 40 DK points. He's been extremely consistent. And so if we can consistently get 30 DK points at 6.8, but also have the upside to potentially go for 40, that's going to be interesting to me. So it does seem like we are getting a bunch of quality center plays on the slate. And so we're probably playing 2. We already see that with this build. Got J-Val and Hartenstein, but I think we could go Claxton. I think we could go Allen as well. I'm actually curious, what is the ownership on Claxton right now? 12 and 7% on a 4-game slate. That is extremely low. Okay, probably not getting to him on FanDuel. Don't want to take up the center spot, I think, with him at 7.9. And then if we go to the Brooklyn side of the basketball, I think Spencer Dinwiddie still is a pretty good play. A lot of his production is kind of predicated on him having a double-double, but he has just been playing extremely well, shooting the basketball a lot, getting a lot of assists. I think he does make sense, and if you are someone that does like to do game stacks, this one does have a decent amount of stackability to it. And so in that scenario, I think we could roll with Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm going to put him in there for now, and then we can adjust throughout the day if we need to. Mikal Bridges, just been on a weird stretch. He is shooting the basketball a lot, just not make pretty much. So I would say he is due to have a game in which he goes off. Maybe that's tonight. After a 0 for 8 night, shooting the 3 ball, burning a lot of people on Prize Picks. If you guys follow tacos and Prize Picks and whatnot, you know what I'm saying. All he had to do is hit a 3. He went 0 for 8. Okay. It's hard to imagine him having that bad of a game again. And so, like, ownership wise, I would say this is about right, but we could see he is one of the better values that we're getting both on FanDuel and DraftKings. So definitely someone that will probably end up being overweight on the field. And then Cam Johnson finally feels correctly priced. Now, just looking at Charlotte, I will say Kelly Oubre makes a lot of sense for GPPs. He has the upside to give you 39, 38, 37 fantasy points. And at 7.5 on a 4-game slate, that is upside I will be kind of looking for. I will say the Pelicans all feel a little bit too priced up. Like Ingram, CJ McCollum, like they've had really good matchups with the Spurs and Houston the last 3 games, and they haven't really been going off and really paying off. And I think that's due to J-Val really having good games as well. So I would say probably a stay away in general, and like they all just are priced up given the matchup with Charlotte, and I just don't feel comfortable paying that. And so for me, we're probably just looking at maybe some of the late night game exposure. Like we have a lack of like standout price point plays. Now Josh Giddey was one of those players that was popping up as a really good play. Is he a lock and load to go off though? No. Okay, last game against the Clippers, only 28 DK points. So I would say he is one of the better plays that we're getting, but at the same time, wouldn't it be shocking to see him, I don't want to say struggle, but not dominate. Jalen Williams is the one player that we can kind of continue to depend on. He continues to get a lot of minutes. Now we look at against Phoenix and against Toronto, he only had 28 and 29, but besides that, he has been the one getting a full allotment of minutes. So I am comfortable paying 6.7 for him. Okay, it's a strong price point. And if we look at it, like he is not too chalky. 17% and 21% for a guy that's been extremely consistent, and we do have him projected to get around 34 minutes. So if that holds up to be true, that does seem like a very cheap price tag for him. And then flipping it over, so Zubac had been someone that had been playing well up until the last game against OKC. I think we could roll with him again. Like I think that upside's there for him to go for 40 DK points. Obviously just a GPP only play, but that's the thing. Like we have so many good center plays. It does seem like a slate in which we are trying to get 2 centers. And so if we look at FanDuel, just because obviously we can only roll with 1 there, let's just see which ones are the best center plays. I want to sort by ownership. So PJ Washington coming in extreme chalk. I'd be fine fading that honestly and just going with Nick Richards. Isaiah Hartenstein would probably be the move as well. But guys, we can get some high upside plays like Zubac at 6%. Okay, that's kind of crazy. J-Val at 9%. And I think that would be the move, at least on FanDuel. Unless we get news for sure Mitchell Robinson's out, then Hartenstein would easily be the move. Down the flip side, we do know that Paul George is out. The question is, can we fit Kawhi into our builds? Because I do think he does give us 50-point upside. Does he have slate breaking upside? I don't know. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to go more of a fair and balanced approach. It's just more difficult. And then just looking at Westbrook, it is just so strange the lack of rebounds he's had thus far with the Clippers. Now, the last 2 games that's changed, but he still hasn't like been dominating. Like, didn't get over 40 DK points in the last 2 games, and he's had really strong numbers rebounding basketball. So I don't know. It kind of almost seems like a stay away there for Westbrook as well. So as a whole, like, these are the best plays I see on the slate, and it's just not a fruitful slate. So we'll go with Gordon, chase that upside. We'll go with Wagner if we can fit him in there. We can. Now we have 6.7 left over. I guess we could go PJ Washington for now. Hopefully some better plays open up throughout the day, but this is kind of what it's looking like. It's a difficult lineup process, but that's just kind of the slate that we have. That being said, guys, I do think that we can really gain an edge just by being available by lineup block of each game, just because people are going to be more concentrated on March Madness. And so to me, you can kind of find a big edge there. So please do. Link to that's in the description below, as well as the tools that you saw in this video. It also includes the lineup builder as well. So make sure to check that out. All right, thanks for watching, and as always, good luck.